Alright, welcome back to part 4 of this webinar. Everything you need to know about immigration to Canada from Africa. And at this point, we're talking about different ways you can legally move to Canada. And this is number 4, which is the home child care and home support worker pilot. So these are two pilots joined together, the home child care pilot and the home support worker pilot. So put together they make up these two pilots. Okay, alright, so specifically meant it offers a direct pathway to Canada's PR and allows applicants to bring their family members with them. So this is to be more explanatory, this is a career specific immigration pathway. In other words, when you move to Canada via this pathway, you are going to work in the home care industry for at least 2 years before you can move to any other pathway. So when successful, you have to work in the home care industry for 2 years before you can get a PR as well, and then change industry if you choose. So you would have to work in this. Like I said, I've always told you, the Canada immigration programs are deliberate programs, that Canada is bringing. They don't just, they find a need before they launch a program. There has to be a need that every pilot is going to feel, and they put in place measures to ensure that when immigrants come, they actually help them solve those problems. And this particular pathway helps Canada solve the problem of their aging population, solve the problem of taking care of their aging population, and the children they have. All right, like I told you, most of Canada population are old people and they need help in some way or the other. They are able to pay, so there is no challenge of them paying or not. So this pathway is specifically designed to take care of children when they are not in school, and also take care of old people and maybe do some other home works, alright, that enables them to work. But then a lot of people shy away from this pathway because of it is kind of, in Nigeria you would call them a domestic staff kind of work. So or you may call it a house help, but then it is a profession in Canada. It is a sector dedicated for this in Canada, and there are industry rules guiding and protecting workers and consumers, that is the people who use your services. Alright, so it's a different ball game from what you already know in Nigeria, and it's a smart way to actually get a PR rather than wait for the express entry that requires a lot of high CRS scores, or the one we've already discussed earlier, that is the rural, not the rural northern, but the regional, the provincial nominee program. Those ones require higher scores, and the rest of them, and different other high requirements. And I'm going to explain everything that you need for this pathway going forward. So this is a summary of what is involved. 5,500 principal applicants will be allowed into Canada every year for the next 5 years at least, or until they meet the required number they need. So what it means is that they can close this at any time. Alright, I hope I put in where they launched this thing last year in July. Alright, so this year is already 1 year, and it's already counting. So they admit 5,000, at least 5,000 people, 5,500 via these two routes. Each of the routes contribute 2,350 or so. Each of them contribute 2,350, making it 5,500 or so. So 2,250. All right. Okay, so the principal applicant will receive an initial occupation-specific work permit when you secure a Canadian job offer. So you will have to get a job, and then you will be given an occupation-specific work permit. Your family members can move with you and receive an open work permit. So if you're moving with your wife or son who is an adult, or daughter who is an adult, they can be given, or who can work, they can be given an open work permit or study permit, as the case may be. Alright, and you're guaranteed a permanent resident status after 2 years of working in the home care industry. So there is no need for you to panic about it. You just, as soon as you complete your 2 years work on the home care industry, you will automatically qualify for a PR. No need for labor market impact assessment before hiring a caregiver from overseas. So this is already an industry specific policy. While others require that you do a labor market impact assessment, what this means is that Canada tries to see what impact will based on your experience and your qualifications, what impact will you have in Canada's economy. That's what they do based on your score in this LMIA or something like that, the way they call it, the abbreviation, but its full meaning is labor market impact assessment. They will not grade you. It will also, it is also a criteria for allowing people to enter Canada for work. But in the case of this home childcare industry and home support worker pilots, this is waived. There is no need for it. Now, job requires that you take care of children and the aged, like I already outlined, and you will earn between $16 to $20, and you work usually for 6 to 7 hours per day and 5 days a week. So you see the spaces in between here, you cannot choose to do whatever you want. You can work on another job and the rest of them. So how do you apply for this? This is the process for application. You do your ECA evaluation, you write and pass IELTS. ECA, by the way, is Education Credentials Assessment. Educational Credential Assessment. I don't know if you need explanation, and maybe I'll do it in a separate Facebook right up on the group. Alright, so you write and pass your IELTS with a CLB 5 or above. CLB 5 or above. So apply for a home care job in Canada and get a job offer. So usually you need to apply for several jobs. So whichever one you're lucky to get, you will be given a job offer. Alright. Then you will generate an immigration profile and complete application online. Then you go for your biodata capturing and interview at the designated Canada Embassy office. The interview is not for the job, but to find out things about you and how you will be able to cope with the culture changes in Canada. Alright, so the next step would be to apply for work permit under the home care and home support worker pilot. So apply for Canada PR optional. This is optional because you don't need a PR to move via this route. But if you can apply, if you have money to apply, this is purely based on economic ground. If you have money to apply now, it will be better because maybe in 2 years time they will have increased the price for Canada for PR application. If your application is down, wow, so it's easier for you to do it then. So you make preparations to leave for Canada, schedule your flight, make preparations for temporary accommodation in Canada, and then land in Canada, resume work. So that's the application process of you for using this route. So like I was trying to explain earlier, this route is a smart way to enter Canada. Alright, instead of holding on and waiting for a permanent resident, you can easily go here, earn a significant amount of money. You don't need a proof of fund, and I'm going to talk about that later. So the next one is a newly launched Rural and Northern Canada Immigration. This one was launched last year and it started application this year. Alright, the Rural and Northern Canada Immigration Pilot is new. This is a community-driven immigration pilot program. That means when you move via this route, you're going to work in a specific community, alright, a city or a part of Canada. This is meant to support the rural part of Canada to also develop and meet their own economic needs and plans. Alright, so this offers direct permanent residency. So right from Nigeria, you would get your PR before you even leave. However, you have to live and work in the community that's recommended you for at least 2 years before you can move to any other city. So you see, this is the difference between this one. You can work in any industry you choose or which you get your job, but the specifications or the restrictions is based on the city where you're living and working. You have to work in a specific city. Unlike the one we just discussed, the home care pilot, you have to work in a specific field, but you can move to any part of Canada you choose. Alright, so this is the difference between this and that. And again, this one has a PR. You have a PR before you leave. That one does not have a PR before you leave. Alright, so but then let's look at the summary of what is involved here. You will have to aim to attract. The aim is attracting immigrants. That's the aim of this one, and attach them to local jobs. Now, principal applicant to receive a permanent residency when you secure a Canadian job offer in a participating community and a recommendation from that community. So you get a job offer in that community, apply for recommendation. They will recommend you to come to apply for permanent residency. You now apply for permanent residency, and with that you can enter Canada. Your family members, the principal, can receive open work permit again, or study permit. Alright, so no need again. In this case again, they have waived the labor market impact assessment. That's what they are doing most of the times now, because I believe it's hindering a lot of people because of the differences in our career distance. Alright, so your job can be in any industry as long as it's relevant to the community where you're going to. Alright, so these are the requirements. You get a recommendation letter for PR from one of the participating communities, like I said here. You have to have at least 1 year continuous work experience in the last 3 years. That means even if you don't have a job now, but maybe in 2018 you had a full-time job, so that qualifies you. Alright, you had a full-time work experience, that qualifies you. But if it was in 2015 that you had that experience, it means it disqualifies you, and you have remained unemployed since then. So you have intention to live in the community that nominates you. You have to have a proof of funds. I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you how much you need to move via this route, and then you do your ECA evaluation. I've explained what ECA is. Alright, so the CLB, the IELTS required here is between 4 to 7, depending on your career. Your job, your skill level. Alright, if it's lower skill, 4, the higher skill level, so you need to score up to 7. That's why you don't need to joke with your IELTS. Alright, so they tell you IELTS 4. Nobody tells you that some of the job you apply may require you to get IELTS 7. So please don't joke with your IELTS exam. Alright, so full-time and permanent job offer from the participating community. So you have a full-time job offer from a company or institution that is in a participating community. Then you meet community-specific criteria, of course, and then the intention is to live and work in that community that recommended you. Then you have to be admissible. I was trying to explain this in earlier. I messed up this word. I called it accessibility when I was talking about whether you need to go to Canada. Some people should go to Canada and some people cannot go to Canada. So those who cannot go to Canada is because of admissibility. If you have crime issues, they will not be able to admit you to go to Canada. And you have health issues that they know what they are looking for. So based on your medical and police report, you'll be able to determine whether you enter Canada. So application process. Okay, so you check that you're eligible. You write and pass IELTS exams. You search for job and apply and secure job offer for eligible jobs in the participating cities. Now, with a job offer in your hand, you create a candidate profile on the page of the community where you got the job offer, alright, and then apply for PR recommendation from that community. Then apply for Canada PR using the recommendation letter you have been given, and then you go for your biodata capturing, alright, and interview at the Canada Embassy, wherever they tell you to go, Abuja or Lagos. You make preparations to leave and schedule your flight, and then boom, you land in Canada and resume work. So